Sure, we're here at Games for Health to be part of the community of leveraging games for healthcare related purposes. This is our 7th year, so we were here from the beginning. We're not only participants, but we're also a sponsor and have been for a number of years now. And we're very excited to be part of a kind of a thriving community of folks leveraging games for healthcare related purposes.
So you say you've been going to this conference for about 7 years.
Sure.
What changes have you seen from the very early stages to today?
Sure. Well, I think one thing that has changed is the conference has grown exponentially since the beginning. It's been quite exciting to watch it happen. There are many more different types of people here from all over the world, not just the United States, participating in Games for Health. There's larger involvement on the part of healthcare organizations, medical teaching colleges, institutions of higher learning, and that's very encouraging. There's also increased participation on the part of the government in terms of government agencies.
So we interviewed you last year. Between then and now, what has Virtual Heroes been kind of focusing on?
Sure. So our customers have become very knowledgeable about what their needs and requirements are in the area of leveraging game technology for learning in terms of healthcare for medical professionals. We have started to develop on mobile platforms such as the iOS, so iPad, iPod Touch, and iPhone. We just shipped our first free demonstration of that on the iTunes Store, which is a milestone for us. We're also developing on the Android platform for some of our government customers, and there's an increased need for high-fidelity immersive 3D content on secure networks, both government and also corporate, through a web browser, and we're actively pursuing that as well.
Looking at some of the Virtual Heroes stuff in terms of using the Unreal Engine, a lot of stuff, it looks like eerily similar to in terms of the overall design and the look of the games to stuff that you're seeing from AAA companies.
Sure.
What are you taking from them and inspiration? What are some of the games that you've taken inspiration from in terms of design and
Sure.
brought to some of the Virtual Heroes titles?
So many of our developers, including myself, worked at AAA game companies and produced commercial entertainment titles, and so our whole approach to creating serious games has always been to create engaging, fun, and immersive content that has the same high production values that you see in entertainment titles. The challenge for our developers is that the complexity goes several layers deep. Our characters are very instrumented in terms of the user interaction with them. We have an embedded human physiology engine with a pharmacokinetic model. And so we also are linked to after-action review systems as well in terms of performance metrics for what people do in the scenarios. So we try to keep things fun and engaging with the same high-quality production values, but then there also has to be the learning content in there as well.
I know there's been big advances over the years as health professionals have seen the benefits of extra gaming and tools and the therapeutic sense for the Wii and the Kinect now and other stuff like that. How can that conversation continue to happen?
Sure, the conversation needs to first involve a common dialogue and a framework in terms of a common lexicon for what things are, and that's been a challenge, and it's progressed quite a bit in the last 7 years in terms of people being able to understand what gamers are talking about, or for example gamers understanding what clinicians might be asking for or speaking about. A lot of that happens here at the Games for Health conference, so that's been a great facilitator of that open dialogue. The other thing is establishment of standards in terms of the types of constructive tracking mechanisms in terms of putting scenarios together. For example, SCORM, the Medbiquitous standard. In the military, you have distributed interactive simulation or high-level architecture standards. Understanding how to build things in a way that's modular, scalable, and interoperable with existing training systems that are out there. And some of those presentations are happening today and tomorrow at Games for Health.
Seeing what you've seen over the past 7 years and seeing what you've seen today and yesterday and the rest of the days of the conference, where do you see the overall industry, this little niche, going into the future? In terms of even your company, where do you see things going into the future?
Sure. So we're focused on immersive medical training and education that's cross-platform. It's transmedia. It's on mobile devices, it's on PCs, Apple devices, and game consoles. I think that there's been greater acceptance in terms of people being more willing to try different approaches for training and education. I think where it needs to go in terms of where it seems to be going is a lot of emphasis being placed on validation and return on investment in terms of scientific studies to show that learning to proficiency actually happens when people use game technology to learn either a cognitive, a procedural, or some psychomotor skill. And I think we're just on the beginning of that. Studies are starting to be done. Data is starting to come in. That's one area. The other area that I see is in terms of strategic messaging, games being used to engage, especially youth in our country and others, about very important topics. For example, we worked on an HIV awareness project with Warner Brothers, funded by the U.S. government, for people in Kenya. And that has been very successful over the last 2 years. And that's a glimpse into what's possible. I think there are opportunities in our country to have healthcare messaging like that in terms of engaging young people in a fun, immersive way to understand about very complex and sometimes sensitive healthcare topics.